And of course, tomorrow the weather is supposed to cool off and it's supposed to be back down to 60s. But now we have one, so I am happy.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, as much as I love DMing for you guys, Dungeon Drunks yesterday was torturous because I had to sit in front of a hot computer. It was like 90 degrees in the apartment. I was just sweating balls.
Which is amazing because you don't have any balls to sweat off of.
Yeah, I grew a pair just to sweat them back off again.
On that note, hi, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are Glib Shark. And tonight we are talking about our Dungeons and Dragons and Drunks journal contest on the Rooster Teeth site. We're also talking vacations and heat problems, the spontaneous generation of genitals, and then of course we have some Game of Thrones to catch up on. So we may actually go 30 minutes with our Game of Thrones spoiler cast. We'll see how we're feeling about that. But first, as consistent, way more consistent than the vacationing Jack Edithel this week, we have the lovely, the talented, the amazing Obo Crazy here to do a little something we call This Week in Geek. How you doing, Obo?
I'm excited. So this Week in Geek is a little different. I'm not going to actually talk about any news stories. I'm not going to thrill you with my readings of stuff that I found on the internet that are geeky and weird. I'm actually going to finish a contest I started on the Rooster Teeth site. So if you follow me on Rooster Teeth, I'm, of course, Obo Crazy. I've been running a contest for the last week asking people to post a journal that details a role-playing experience that they have had. And I left the door open to a wide variety of role-playing experiences, not just Dungeons and Dragons, but did you play any video games? Do you cosplay? Did you act? Did you, basically if you made it tangentially related to a role-playing experience in some way, shape, or form, I wasn't here to judge. The purpose of this was to inspire activity on the site, people talking about fun experiences that they've had and telling a story, and also giving away something. So those that actually participated in the challenge, and a lot of people did, a couple people were ineligible, like our very own Carlton participated, John on the site, which was awesome. Unfortunately, he already has the prize. So the prize was, if you posted a journal and before right now, essentially, and linked it to me at the journal that I posted with all the details, you were entered to win. And what could you win? Well, let me tell you. You get the chance to pick a character that will appear in the Glib Shark Dungeons and Dragons and Drunks live D&D game at RTX, and you get to name that character. So any name that this person wants, whoever the winner is, they get to just pick a name. They could use their own name. They could think of another name. Whatever name they pick will be the name of this character at the RTX live game. And so our official entries are, I won't even do that. So we've got Ruroni1029, who gave a very, very fun story about an evil D&D game that he was a participant in a while back. We have Metal Dragon 5, who you definitely should go read because he tells the story of joining us several years ago for the live game at RTX and his awesome experience and what happened to him when he got to play the boss monster. We've got Dev212, who tells a very interesting tale about pirates and financial endeavors and some of the interesting things that can happen when you get into owning property, basically. We have Wolf Boy, who shared actually 2 or 3 different stories. And Jules should definitely go read it because gnomes, man. Gnomes are kind of awesome. We also had Osage Orange, who actually told a really cool Minecraft story. So you can definitely go see that. Some really nice pictures of the Minecraft map that he is talking about. And I believe that's it. We had a bunch of other people commenting, a lot of people who really enjoyed the contest. And I really do hope that you go and read these entries, read what everybody's been putting out there, and put out your own. But for the moment, I have a prize to award. So I have gone ahead and written everybody's name down on a piece of paper. And I don't really have a hat because I'm not really a hat person. So I'm just going to mix them up. And I'm going to pick one at random. And Luke was officially going to oversee that this was all on the up and up, but he has fled the room, and I can't really blame him. So you're really just going to have to trust me here that it is completely and utterly random. So I have all the pieces of paper here. And Jonathan, would you give me a drum roll?
I'm not even going to do that. It sounds awful.
All right, and the winner is Ruroni1029. You are the winner, and you will get to pick a name for a character that will appear at the D&D game in RTX. I will be DMing him on the Rooster Teeth site with his winnings, basically. And when you watch the live game, you're going to be able to hear his character's name, whatever that may be. So thank you. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And that's all for This Week in Geek. I'm Obo Crazy, and I like giving away things.
The world is indeed a strange and generous place. Altruistic, even. And if you have a fact you'd like to God, it's almost like I haven't been doing this for, 3 or 4 years. But if you have a fact you love to have read live and on the air, you can contact Obo Crazy via the Rooster Teeth site, roosterteeth.com/OboCrazy, via Twitter @OboCrazy, or via the Dungeons and Dragons and Drunks Twitter @DungeonDrunks. And if the fact is awesome, if it's geeky, if it's just a little weird, she'll read it live and on the air.
And maybe give you something. Who knows? And now I've got little pieces of paper everywhere. Oh, well.
At least it's not the cleanup that one has to do after a team wins a championship of some kind.
I have no idea what you might be talking about.
So, like, a lot of times when a team wins, like wins a Super Bowl or wins an NBA championship or wins the World Series, the stadium will deploy. Sometimes it's dropped, sometimes it's flung from the tops of the stands or whatever. Confetti.
All the confetti.
And lots of confetti. And it's not quite the really fine stuff that you might find in like cascarones or other stuff, but it's these fat sheets of shiny paper just raining down everywhere. And what you get from that is not only is that a massive cleanup for the venue crew, it also makes for some hilarious pictures. Like, you'll see faces from the losing team looking like they just lost the World Series or the Super Bowl or the NBA championship, and they're just like surrounded by confetti.
Okay, I thought you were actually going to talk about a specific event like that, because I'm so out of it with sports that there could have been some championship that happened the other day that I don't even know about.
Nope, just in general.
Just in general. I like watching some of the old footage of when people would get ticker tape parades in New York City, and they would film, 20, 30 stories up, and you just see reams of paper and just floating down. It looked like snow. It's kind of awesome.
It's really like, even when you have those kinds of parades for hometown heroes or for teams coming home and getting their parades if they've won said championships, you really don't get that anymore. I guess you get some confetti. I don't know. It's been a long time since I went to one of those things. I actually went to the first time the San Antonio Spurs won the NBA championship. The San Antonio has the very famous San Antonio River, so they did their parade down that. And I was lucky enough to find a family friend down near one of the banks of the river, and so I got with his family and had a great seat for the whole thing. It was really, really awesome.
Very cool. I've actually kind of avoided those celebratory parades and everything. it's I'm not one of those people that are afraid of crowds or avoid them, but that never looked like fun to me. That's kind of like people who avoid crowds. That's the moment that I totally understand why.
Yeah, and I totally get why people may not like it and why it may not be for everyone. But it was definitely for me at this time. Hold on, things are going to get really awful.
I, I'm excited.
No,
Awfulness.
I'm just adjusting my mic stand, so it's going to sound really really bad. Okay, there we go. But I always like that kind of stuff, and I kind of like crowds anyway. I mean, I go to a lot of cons. Um, when I was a kid, Christmas time going to the mall, I loved because of all the crowds and all the kind of like uh, Christmas sensations going along with that. It was something I really liked. So, but I totally get it where people may not like crowds like that.
Yeah. Speaking of crowds, PAX is PAX Prime, or I guess they're calling it PAX West. Did you know that PAX badges went on sale? Well, if you did, guess what? They're already gone.
Yeah, I found out 30 minutes after they went on sale.
Which meant you were too late.
Right. I stayed in queue for about 2 hours and didn't get anything. One of our friends, T-Bone, former Omeganaut, did manage to get tickets because he was on pretty much right after. Another friend didn't. He got in, but he wasn't able to get Saturday badges.
Well, so here's the good thing. I have actually been unable to buy badges to PAX Prime or PAX West. I should really start calling it PAX West because that's its real name for the last couple of years. And what I mean by buying them is doing this thing where I go on to the internets and purchase them directly from PAX. Which is sad because PAX is literally in my backyard. And it's the one PAX that I'm pretty much guaranteed to go to because all I have to do is buy the badges and get the days off. I don't need a hotel room. I don't need to really worry about food. I live here. But it's the one that I can never really get badges for anymore. Fortunately, it's very common about a couple weeks before the show, or, even starting within a week or two of them going on sale, for people to be legitimately selling their badges for a variety of legitimate reasons. Not marked up badges of, hey, I bought these for $50 and now you can have them for $300. But people who are like, yeah, I thought I was going to be able to go and now I can't. Or, I bought these tickets and now I can only go for half the days, or whatever. And people sell them at costs. And the last couple of years, I have fortunately been able to procure badges for PAX in that way. Either people have been kind enough to give me unused badges, or sell me at cost ones that they're not using. In the end, the reason I go to PAX or to RTX or to any of these conventions is to see friends. And so as much as it sucks to not be able to get into the convention itself, most people leave the convention hall for a little while to, say, eat or socialize or do something else. And so as long as I get to see those people, I'm happy. So Luke and I will keep our eyes open and see if anyone is selling extra badges or badges that they're not going to be able to use. And we'll do our best to be able to go because there's always a couple things I'd like to see, but mostly I just want to see people.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I generally go to these things for the people, for the friends I'm going to see. But PAX Prime, out of all of the PAXs, is probably the PAX that I do the most PAXy stuff at. So it's unfortunately the one where I'm less likely to not have a badge and still go. Like San Antonio is my hometown. I have family in San Antonio. I have a lot of friends. And it's close enough to Austin where that whole thing can be a trip. Like, let's say I didn't have PAX badges, I would be in that area during that time. Boston, I feel like Boston is getting there too, and I feel really bad because I haven't been to Boston in a while, and I really do want to get out there and see people. But I'm not saying that Seattle isn't like that because I do have obviously a ton of friends in Seattle. But like I said, of all the PAXs, it's definitely the most show dependent for me. And I'm not really sure why, but I feel like it just is. So not getting passes and going is not as feasible for Seattle. We'll see what happens. I'm still on the fence of whether I'm going to go at all. I just kind of, it would have been nice to have the badges and be like, okay, now I can figure it out from here.
Yeah. And it's, you know, which PAX is feasible for you is going to be different for everybody, depending on where you live, who you have nearby, who else is also going. If the city is something you're interested in going to see, I definitely would recommend, if you are interested in coming to PAX West and you know people who are coming and you just don't have a badge, come anyway. There's plenty of stuff to do in Seattle. There's plenty of stuff to do outside of the convention. If you know friends who are going, even if you cannot, like I was saying, pick up a badge beforehand, I've sometimes been like, I'm just going up to hang out, and someone's like, hey, I'm gonna go grab food for an hour or two. Do you want to borrow my badge and just go cruise the floor? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So unless what you want to do is go stand in line for a game to play a game on the show floor, you don't need a badge necessarily to have fun. And if you know people are going to the event, you can probably get in for a little bit. The last couple of years of PAX, the only thing that I've been super interested in making sure I see is Wizards usually puts on a panel or two that I want, usually an Ask the DM panel or some kind of D&D panel. I don't even try to go see Acquisitions Incorporated because that's just an entire day spent waiting for that thing. And also they put out the video of it super quick and it's almost a better experience. But I do like to go to the Ask a DM panels, and I do try to go. Reaper always has an amazing store in the convention center of minis, and I try to go to that because I always have a few extra bucks for a mini. And there's, if I could get into the Rooster Teeth panel, that's always a lot of fun too. But that's really it. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, I just I don't know. We'll have to see. There are things I have to work out. There's obviously RTX is coming up. I am already booked for BGG Con later in the year, so I need to see where potentially PAX would fit. And I missed last year. I felt bummed because last year, I missed PAX East because of shenanigans, because of the weather, and I purposely missed PAX Prime, and it bothered me a lot, and it took some talking to by a friend to say, hey, you made a decision, you're sticking by it. This you know why you did this, and you just have to stand by that decision and know that it was for a good cause. So she was right. That was very much what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we should talk about something a little happier. Speaking of vacations.
Well, before we totally move on, I'm going to say one small little thing. Okay. On air, in front of everybody, if you do decide to come, and I'll extend this to Jenga as well, if either of you decide to come, badges or no, to PAX, you are both welcome to stay here with Luke and I. We will drive you places. I will be taking that weekend off to, hang out and see friends. No matter what happens with badges, you guys are more than welcome to stay on our semi-comfy futon in our now air-conditioned apartment.
I do appreciate that. And I will definitely keep it in mind. I can't speak for anyone else.
Well, the only one else is Jenga, and he ain't here. But yes, Jenga, if you're listening, come visit. Anyway, you were going to change topics.
I was going to change topic to an actual vacation that took place. We, and by we, I mean a few friends that few mutual friends that we have, all went to Puerto Rico to do some scuba diving. And we had a ton of fun.
There were amazing pictures that came out of it.
Oh my God. I'm not going to put them all here on the stream because I was kind of lamenting that the stream doesn't do picture slideshows anymore. And if you out there know how to do it, I haven't really actually played with it a whole lot, but if you know how to get those sort of things into OBS, I would be all ears. But anyway, I'm going to throw up a few here featuring a couple of people close to the show, mainly myself and one John Sedlak, a.k.a. Carlton Tanks. Let's get this in here.
Thrilling picture inserting action. I love the little
live
tiny
streaming,
picture.
folks. Yeah, it's so it was a lot of fun. Obviously, we did some scuba diving. We went out. The story that I kind of want to tell, and it was after our day of diving. So we had 2 dives that day. We took a boat out to the island of Calabria. We did some diving. I met a super hot dive master named Veronica, who was very friendly and wanted to make sure that I was okay. I had some problems with the dive, and some of my equipment wasn't quite working right. And after we were coming back, she just wanted to make sure that I was okay. But she was very, 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 very friendly about it. So we came back and we got to our condo, which had an awesome view. If you follow me on Twitter or any of the other participants, John, Nathan, Connor, or Izzy, you saw these pictures, and they were phenomenal. That night we came back, we got all dressed up, and we went to dinner. We had some awesome steak, and we had probably the best mofongo that we had all trip. Let me tell you, it's mofongo all the time there. All mofongo all the time. Just about anything you order has mofongo. Although there was a place near us that had really, really good mofongo as an entree. A lot of the other places, the mofongo was like a side dish. But anyway, so we got really awesome steaks, and it was phenomenal. Izzy had gotten a 10-year-old port that we drank that night because it was Sunday and it was Game of Thrones night. So we're sitting there all tipsy. We'll get into more of why we got really, really excited that episode in the spoiler cast. But needless to say, we were very, very, very hype. It was a great episode. We saw lots of things that were confirmed, and it was just awesome. We were literally jumping up and high-fiving each other. Like, it was awesome. So we were really, really excited, and we didn't want to bug anyone else in the condo, so we decided to take a walk on the beach. And so there's 5 nerds kind of cruising down the beach, pretty drunk, and just walking, talking and stuff. It was raining a little, but we didn't care. So we walked out a bit and we started to come back. And we noticed that there's a giant rock on the beach that we hadn't noticed before. Just all of a sudden there. And as we get a little closer, we see that the rock is moving. And then we see it's not a rock, it's a sea turtle. Now, I will say that when we got to the condo and we got to the beach, we noticed that there were areas of the beach that were roped off and cordoned off. We found out that those were sea turtle nests. So it was nesting season. So they were coming up to the beach, laying their eggs, and then going back into the water. So I really didn't know about this because I guess I had missed the conversation and I was also pretty drunk. But a lot of our group's hope was that we would see a sea turtle coming up to lay her eggs. And sure enough, there is this giant fucking sea turtle there coming up. And we're just like, oh my God. And we're all, I got pretty emotional. It was a sight to behold. We took one picture, which I believe John posted. And we needed a light to do that because it was pretty dark. So we shone our light for just a bit. We took our picture and then we turned the light off and backed up. And we tried to give this turtle as much of a wide berth as possible, but still where we could see. And we were just very, very careful. As she came up on the beach, we went ahead and passed her, and then we just left her alone. We kept on walking. It was one of the most phenomenal things to happen to me ever, and definitely one of the best nights that I'll remember. Yeah, no matter how drunk I'll get, I'll never forget that. But that was. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what's extra cool about that is that's not something you planned. Obviously, for that to happen was just timing and luck and the grace of the universe.
I mean, and we had, like I said, our group had hoped that would have happened, but we had no realistic expectation that it would. I actually, I was one of the last people to leave. One of the reasons why John and I have several pictures together is that we accidentally booked our tickets for flight after everyone else had left. So we had to get a hotel room just for ourselves and stay in Puerto Rico an extra day. So that morning, as people were leaving, I went ahead and went on the beach and just took a walk by myself. And it was gorgeous sky. It was really awesome. And I went to visit our nest and say goodbye.
Aw.
Yeah, it was it was really, really cool. And just a really, really fun trip. I'm pretty sure I didn't get Zika, but we'll see. I did pick up, one of the reasons why I'm coughing a lot is I did pick up a chest cold from the airport, I'm pretty sure.
Well, but worth it, right?
Oh, totally, absolutely worth it. I mean, it was my first time going on a scuba trip, and just the experiences, and especially with that group of friends, like I said, John, Nathan, Connor, and Izzy. It was just a really, really good group to go with. And we even played some games. Got to play the board game Puerto Rico in Puerto Rico, which has been a dream of mine. And we also got to play a game that I've probably talked about before called Codenames, which is really, really awesome. And who knows, if you show up to our panel at RTX, maybe you'll get a copy of Codenames. We might have a couple.
And
it's a game awesome. that I firmly stand behind. It is really, really easy to teach. If you do happen to get a copy at the Jenga Jam, or Jenga Jam panel, at the Glib Shark panel, I will be more than happy to show you how to play. It doesn't take that long. It's a phenomenal party game. It's perfect for an event like RTX. Like, as much as I like Puerto Rico is not a good game for RTX. It's just not. It's complicated. There are subtleties to it. And it worked here because we had a pretty good afternoon to teach and play it. And but Codenames is the best party game to come out in years. So
I'm frankly excited about playing some $1 Million Butt at RTX. No?
Blink, blink.
Blink, blink?
Yeah.
No?
I saw how the game works and I'm not excited anymore.
Oh.
I backed it, and after watching how the game is played, I'm like, I wish I could go and back that. I was hoping for something clever, and as far as I can tell, it's just straight Cards Against Humanity ripoff. And which sucks, because when they were talking about the game, they're like, oh, well, we had one of our guys come up with it, and we think it's pretty good, but it's not. As far as I can tell from what I've seen played on their streams, it's just not an inspiring game. One of the games we did play on vacation is he brought a game called Fun Employment, which, again, is sort of like a Cards Against Humanity, like super fight sort of game, but it works because, like, at least Izzy and I, we work in professional offices. So interviews are part of that. And I mean, interviews are part of any job. So we had a lot of fun with that part of the game. And it was fun. And even if we didn't kind of role play it up and kind of be big blustery interviewers about it, it still had more going for it than from what I've seen from $1 Million. But maybe it'll surprise me. And I do have a copy coming to me. But honestly, it's not a game I'm excited about.
I agree that at least the rules that they put out are very just Cards Against Humanity style, in where someone is the judge, and everybody tries to match a card and make each other laugh. I think the premise of the game is unique enough, and the reason that I love Cards Against Humanity is because it inspires me to not be competitive, but to just have fun. Because I'm just by my nature, a performer and a competitive person. And so if you put me down in front of a game that is a competition, I will want to win. But Apples to Apples originally, and then Cards Against Humanity, and hopefully now this game, because so much of the game is wrapped up in just making people laugh, I find it very easy to switch the crazy competitive part of my brain off, or at least turn my competition from I want to win to I want to make you laugh. And if I make you laugh, even if you don't pick my card, I'm happy. And I think what $1 Million Butt will have that Cards Against Humanity does not is that discussion factor. Because Cards Against Humanity is just, okay, let's look at the choices and someone makes their decision. I like the idea of $1 Million Butt being that that moment that the show has, in where you put forth this idea and now you kind of roll it around in your head a little bit. Well, what happens if this? And what if you do that? And this could happen and that could happen. And so uh, for me, as much as you're absolutely right that the basic rules of this game are just Cards Against Humanity, I think that'll work really well. And I think with the right group of people, say everybody at RTX that I'm friends with, that will be just a fun sitting around drinking game. So
Well,
we'll see.
I guess my criticism of it is that it's the social aspect is an excuse for lazy design. And that's just it's easy to make a game where it's like, hey, we expect the players to talk about this. And that's fine if that's what you're in the mood for. But I'm very rarely in the mood for that kind of game. If I'm going to play a game, I want to play it because we're playing a game. If I want to talk to my friends and make them laugh, I'll just talk to my friends and make them laugh. I don't need a game to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of burn out on Cards Against Humanity. It's one of the reasons why Super Fight has never interested me, because it's like it's just too much of that discussion. And I think the difference with Fun Employed was that you had structure. You had a bit of structure with the cards you were playing as part of your interview. And that, I think, even though there was some of that kind of discussion and trying to sell yourself a little bit, you were still basing it off the cards you were playing, and in a lot of cases the order in which you were playing them. So there was a lot more mechanically going on with Fun Employment, and definitely with Codenames. Like Codenames, I don't understand why someone would want to play Millions Dollars But when Codenames is available. I guess if you have not as many people, because a lot of times with Codenames you get those same discussions in the realm of a structured game, which is something that I appreciate more. And like I said, I was really hoping that we would get more of that structure and more of those mechanics with Million Dollars But we didn't.
Yeah. Well, we both have it coming to us, and I've heard that there are several alternate ways of playing, so maybe there will be an alternate rule set that will appeal to you.
Maybe.
And I'm sure for those of us that want to play it at RTX, we will find people who will want to play it, and those that don't, there are plenty of, as you enjoy, opportunities to just sit around and make people laugh. I'm looking forward to it. Should we talk Game of Thrones now?
Of course. Hang on. I'm trying to find there was a picture that someone had that was very subtle for what I want to do. You know what? This is actually...
While you look that up, I will non-spoiler have a small, tiny rant. I have a curated Twitter feed, and one of the things that will get you off of my Twitter feed super fast, I will stop following you immediately, is if you are one of those people who spoil things as they come out. Like, you can post spoilers days, weeks, months, years, I don't care. But like, if you are live tweeting shit that is something I want to watch, like Game of Thrones, I'm not following you anymore. I just, that's my decision. It's on me to avoid spoilers. It's not you. And so I'd actually been pretty good this whole season so far about avoiding major spoilers, because I am often, with being on the West Coast and then often being at work until late on a Sunday, it's been very rare for me to be able to watch Game of Thrones before the internet gets a chance to go crazy. I got spoiled on my Twitter feed for this episode. That fortunately it was something that happened within the first couple of minutes of the episode. So
Yes.
it didn't affect me too badly. But yeah, someone on my Twitter feed just put it on out there. And so here is my plea to you, gentle listener. Remember, when you are tweeting about something that has just occurred, just happened, some kind of TV show, movie, something that you've just seen that is new and out for everybody to see, just think about it before you put a spoiler out there for everybody to see. Please, please. I don't want to get into the whole when are spoilers good discussion, because that's a personal thing, but just think about it. There, rant over. I think you found the image that you're looking for.
I have. So, listeners, thank you so much. We are about to go into Game of Thrones spoilers,
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
we're going to be spoiling the last 2 episodes, which I believe are episodes 6 and 7. I want to say.
I think so. I'll look that up while you finish saying goodbye.
Right. So anyway, for people not coming with us, thank you so much for spending time with us on a Tuesday evening or whenever you are listening to this. And we will see you next week. I have been Jonathan Roadblock Cerna. You can find me at road_block. She has been Obo Crazy, aka Lauren Urban, at Obo Crazy. And Jack is, as usual, at Jack Edithil. And all of us are at Glib Shark. We're on YouTube. Find us on YouTube. Search for Glib Shark. Like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We are trying to expand there, and we would love to have you along with us. And for those of us not getting spoiled, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let me deploy spoilers.
Deploying spoilers.
All right, so let's see. We want this to go away, and then we want this to get... And then we want that not to be there. But then
I'd forgotten there's only 10 episodes in this season.
Yeah. And this isn't spoilers per se, but if you've heard rumors about the next couple of seasons, there's not going to be as much. There's going to be less Game of Thrones. I think the next couple of seasons are going to have 13 episodes between them.
Yeah, I think I do remember hearing that, although I might have originally heard that when it was still in talks. So That'll be interesting. Hey, if the quality continues to be good, I am totally all for the BBC-ish model of we're going to put out 3 episodes, but they're going to be the most fucking amazing episodes.
Well, that's the problem. And again, non-spoilery rant, but that's the big problem with American TV is that they have these 22 to 26 episode seasons that they have to fill with filler. I'm looking at you, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Most of this last season was crap. And if you had to deal with a 10 episode season, it would have been a lot more interesting, even with Grant fucking Ward coming back. But anyway.
Yeah. Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. So let's start with episode...
So it'd be episode 6 would have been last week, and episode 7 was this week. Okay. I've got it pulled up here to remind myself because, so much shit happens in these episodes.
Okay, so, well, like I said, we'll start off with episode 6, and this was the episode that we saw in Puerto Rico, and we're going to get into why we were so excited. And it all has to do with motherfucking Cold Hands. Motherfucking Cold Hands is Benjen Stark, at least in the show.
Yes.
So as you saw, Hodor had just held the door. Mira is running away with Bran. There are whites everywhere, and out comes a dude with clearly frostbitten hands, killing everyone with fire. And it is revealed to be none other than Benjen Stark we've not seen since season 1.
And we barely saw him then.
So at this point is when we were drunk off port already. We were watching this, and he shows up. We're like, motherfucking Cold Hands. And we're like high-fiving each other and everything. We're like, Cold Hands hype 2016. It was just, we were the most obnoxious people. This is why we decided to take a walk outside. Because even if our drunk steak, we were like, no, we know we're going to be obnoxious.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and he had a pretty epic entrance in a show that is filled with epic entrances.
So that happened, and that was great. The thing with episode 6 was that it kept hitting you at time and time again. So then we see Sam arriving at Hornhill with Gilly and finally meeting Randall fucking Tarly. And at this point during the episode, one of our group, Nathan, actually was not quite up on Game of Thrones yet. So he was watching this. He was being very patient with the rest of us who were drunk and very obnoxious. So I lean over and I explain who Randall Tarly is. I'd say Randall Tarly, he's the Lord of Hornhill. He wields a Valyrian steel greatsword. It's called Hearthbane, and it is, like I said, one of the 5 or 6 known Valyrian steel swords, like ancestral weapons, in Westeros. So as I lean over and I've explained this, I lean back, and right at that time, Randall Tarley on the show goes, "You see that sword on the wall? That's Heartsbane, Valyrian steel." And I'm just like, and Nathan looks over and I'm like, see? I know my shit.
It's like I've got a primer for this.
Yeah, I mean, I know. So, along with Ice, that is now Widow's Wail and Oathkeeper, the Valyrian steel swords in the world are Hearthbane, like we saw. There is Lady Forlorn, who is wielded by Lynn Corbroy, I want to say, and he's over in the Vale. We also have let's see, Nightfall, which is wielded by, I can't remember who wielded Nightfall. But then we have, I think House Drum has Red Rain. And so those are the Valyrian steel weapons that we know of. There are a couple others that have been lost to history, like the Lannister Valyrian sword, Bright Roar, was lost by someone who went to Valyria. Then another Lannister went to go find it, and he never came back. So it's been lost. So yeah, I know my Valyrian steel.
And Sam took it.
Sam took it. Okay.
Took it.
All
Sam
right.
was just like, yoink, mine.
So on the outset, that seems like a really stupid thing to do.
Oh, it's the stupidest, but it's the most awesome stupid thing.
There is a theory.
Oh, I'm sure.
That the reason Sam has done this is Sam is not going to Old Town. He is going to head back north. And he's going to bring Heartsbane with him. Now, this does, like I said, this is just a theory, but it does a couple of things. One, and Longclaw is out there, and Jon Snow has it, obviously. So Sam is going to bring another Valyrian steel weapon to the north. Valyrian steel weapons are very handy. But more than that, he is going to bring, sort of against his will, one of the fiercest warriors and most brilliant commanders in Westeros to the north as well. Because he's going to say, "Daddy, I'm going north with your sword." And he's going to run back to the wall. And Randall Tarley is going to follow him. And then you will have a competent, fierce commander to help out with the defense of Westeros against the White Walkers.
That's an interesting theory. There's two holes in it, but, we'll see. One, Sam doesn't know what's going on with needing an army. Like, when he left, Jon was okay. He hadn't been killed yet. Everything was tense, but okay. And there would be no reason for Sam to feel like he needed to deliver an army unto the north.
Except
now it's very
that
possible.
he's witnessed at the Fist of the First Men what the White Walkers can do.
True, but he was leaving not thinking that an army was needed immediately. Like that. Now, I think the way that could be explained is if he's received word, if he's received a raven or something, but we haven't seen that. The other problem with that is that assumes on Sam's part that his dad is going to show up and actually do the right thing, which would be to either help defend against if the White Walkers actually attack, or to somehow join up with Jon Snow in getting the Boltons out of Winterfell, where Sam's father is an asshole, and I could totally see him showing up, grabbing his sword, killing Sam, and turning around and GTFO. Now,
well, I think
we'll see what happens.
If he were faced with the Boltons, I could see that. If he were faced with an army of the undead, he might hold off on the killing Sam.
He might, and he would definitely feel the need to shore up defenses, and he hasn't proven himself in the show. I know in the books we've gotten a lot more of him. In the show, he hasn't proven himself to be anything but an asshole. This would, if he was to show up in the north looking for his sword and encounter a bunch of White Walkers, that would be a chance to show that yes, he is a tactical genius and a fierce warrior and blah blah blah. but we'll see. I mean, um, I love that Sam decided to leave. I think we all kind of wished at the dinner table that he would have done what Gilly did. But let's be honest, that probably isn't in Sam's character. He has grown a ton. He has gained a lot of self-confidence. He has become a much more confident person, but nobody can just stand up to their father immediately like that. So while it sucks that he didn't have that moment to stand up to his dad, I kind of understand it. He managed to do the right thing afterwards and get the hell out of there, because if he had left Gilly there, his father would have made her life a living hell.
Yeah. It would not have been a good situation. So he definitely made the best call. And then in that episode, we also had Arya watching that stupid play and kind of going back on her mission. We're gonna have to see how we'll come back to that one when we talk about the next episode, and then I think we can talk about more with what was going on with the High Sparrow as well. I thought it was interesting that that as far as like the Riverlands and the twins, and we finally got to see Walder Frey again. Mm-hmm. I think it was interesting that it was confirmed that the Blackfish had indeed taken back River Run. Because I remember when we talked about it when Baelish was talking to Sansa and he delivered that information, we weren't sure if it was true. And apparently, yes, it is very much so true. And again, we'll talk about that more in the next episode, because frankly, in the next episode, aside from one thing, there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about. So we'll save that for then. And then the episode hits you hard at the beginning, and then it hits you hard at the end, because we have a Dothraki horde moving along, a whole Khalasar, and this is after the whole burning, and they pledged their loyalty to her, to Dany, and then she kind of runs off and comes back with the motherfucking dragon.
Which honestly, she's one of the only characters that I've given license to do magical shit, because I mean the question becomes, so Drogon leaves her and goes to fuck all somewhere, and she's never able to get him back when she thinks she needs him, and is just like, oh wait, I gotta go pick up my dragon, and he's just suddenly there and tame enough to ride again and do her bidding. And you know what? It's fucking Daenerys Targaryen, and she can walk through fire, and she does this kind of shit. And I just kind of shrug and go, yep, okay, sure. It was also really cool looking.
It was really fucking cool looking. And it's like, that was a very awesome moment. Again, another awesome moment for Daenerys. I did see some funny pictures of people at the back of the crowd going, "What's she saying? What? I can't hear." That amused me a lot. So yes, the episode was Blood of My Blood. It was fucking awesome, total hype. And then we got the Broken Man, which I'd like to refer to as the broken episode.
Well, let me say this before we get off of Blood of My Blood, because that's also at the end of that episode where we see Tommen and I've just lost her name, the Queen, Marjorie. The two of them finally take an opportunity to break from their respective parents and do something that is put them in a position in where their parents can no longer squabble about who controls who more. Suddenly they're the ones in charge. And to see Tommen stand up to Jaime, which, maybe not the best thing considering we're kind of rooting for Jaime sometimes, to see Marjorie stand up to everybody, to hear the two mothers basically reconcile with each other that they've lost and they should just leave. I think that comes later. That was kind of awesome. We see the start of this interesting plan, whether, how far this will actually go, who knows? But I I gotta kind of root for the two kids here. I like the idea of them finally being like, fuck our parents. We're taking charge for once.
Right. And like I said, the next episode gets involved with that a little bit more.
Mhm.
And like I said, the next episode I didn't think was that great, but it did start off well.
Well, and it started off with the thing that I alluded to that I got spoiled by, which is that someone is still alive.
Clegane Bowl. And that's the image that's on the stream right now. Yes, Sandor Clegane is alive. Gregor Clegane is alive, sort of. And I think what we're gonna have is and this is Clegane Bowl, is that Jamie has chosen her champion. It's going to be Sir Robert Strong, which is actually Gregor Clegane's reanimated corpse. And the Faith is going to choose its champion, which, with Sandor Clegane alive, who better to kill a Clegane than a Clegane? And that's what Clegane Bowl is. It's the notion that these two were going to fight in Cersei's trial by combat.
Interesting. That does presume that he gets all the way to King's Landing and isn't still contemptuous of any kind of faith, but I could definitely see that path for him. My first thought was, well, we have Arya saying fuck it to the faceless man, and we have him saying fuck it to being a woodsman out in the middle of nowhere. When are the two of them going to meet up again and continue their bromance across the country?
Well, that might be hard if what we saw happen to Arya is actually a thing. We saw her get severely wounded by the waif while she was just after she had booked passage back to Westeros. All of a sudden, it's surprise, and she literally gets prison shanked.
And the interesting thing is, yes, Arya is super duper wounded. However, the waif was given explicit instructions that Arya was not to suffer, and if the waif was to follow her instructions, then Arya would be dead because she would have been just slashed across the throat or stabbed in the back of the neck or something. So the fact that the waif was being an asshole may have saved Arya's life, and it'll be interesting to see if there are any consequences for what is essentially failure.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but that's a good point. And then there were some crackpot theories. There was actually a picture of Arya walking to book passage, and she walks by a girl, her same height, her same build, with the same hairstyle that she had when she was Cat of the Canals, and walking the other direction. And so people were thinking, is that really Arya that got stabbed? I think it's really Arya that got stabbed. I think there is enough tinfoil in the fandom that we don't need ridiculous amounts. But that was brought up, and it's something, I don't even know why I brought it up, but it just sounded interesting to me.
It's interesting. I think that would have been an interesting thing to happen, but I think if that had been the case, we would have seen that. We would have seen this girl pop up somewhere and lose the face, and then we would have seen Arya triumphantly sailing off. I don't see that as the kind of thing they would have held off on. So yeah, I'm inclined to believe with you that she is her, and we'll see what happens next. She's not dead yet.
But after that, we did have a really awesome moment with Lyanna Mormont, who is the seat of House Mormont, and she won over a lot of people because she was sassy as fuck. And
where the hell does Game of Thrones find all these amazing child actors?
I don't know, but she was
fuck?
amazing. She was so good.
She was so good that I took her seriously from moment one as not a child who got stuck in charge of a house, but oh shit, this is a badass woman.
So and it's funny because that is in stark contrast, wink, to Sweet Robin, the Lord of the Vale, who is a pussy. And this girl, Lyanna Mormont, could kick his ass from one end of Westeros to the other without any effort. I mean, like, she is so much more of a badass than he is.
And what I also liked, even though it seemed like a small thing, was the fact that she did consult her advisors. This wasn't a child who, yes, is badass, just making it up as she goes along. The fact that she has the presence of mind as a young ruler to turn to the maester for advice or information, to turn to whoever that was on the right, that's obviously some more of a military figure, and get information from them and at counsel, I think shows that she's not just a hard ass, but also there's some brains there. So she'll be interesting to see. She'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Whether we get more of her or not, I don't know.
But since it bridges kind of to the last episode, let's talk more about Jamie. Oh, actually, okay. So it's kind of in the vein of this roadshow of people representing Sansa Stark going and finding help. We know that as well. Brienne is out there, also sort of doing the same thing. So she's wandering around.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie is now at Riverrun, where he was at the end of Dance with Dragons. Brienne is also wandering around, and we've had not only mention of the Brotherhood Without Banners, but they were the ones who killed that Septon, who killed Ian McShane, and sort of set the Hound back on his path of revenge. So all of these pieces are sort of moving into position where they were in the books, where we got Lady Stoneheart.
No, that'd be interesting.
I think it's going to happen. I mean, there's not any good reason just to scatter these pieces and then put them back without some sort of payoff. And I think that's what we can expect. I'm calling it now. Episode 10. Either we get Lady Stoneheart at the very end, like that's the epilogue of the season, or we get her at episode 9, finding Brienne and doing her thing. And then at episode 10, we get the deal where Brienne goes up to Jamie and says, "Hey, I know where Arya Stark is. Come with me, and we'll go get her." And it's really just a trap to get Jamie Lannister, which is how things ended in Dance with Dragons.
Well, that would make a lot of sense, especially if they're trying to stick with at least the basic plot points of the books. We have been wondering about Lady Stoneheart showing up for a very long time. I've been rolling around in my head the idea of like, so as Jon and Sansa were doing their world tour trying to get people back, they've made several references to the fact that Sansa is kind of in a weird position as far as her matrimony. She is married to a Lannister officially, and she's also now officially married to a Bolton. And whether or not who sees what marriage is legitimate or worth it or whatever, she suddenly has these weird ties to several different houses. And one wonders, with all that's happened since she has fled, because the other thing that's going on is Jamie has arrived at Riverrun and obviously has contempt for the soldiers that are there, has some measure of respect for the Blackfish. One wonders if Sansa was to show up, and maybe even with her new champion, what would be the reaction of Jamie? What would his reaction be? And would the Lannisters continue to back I've lost the name of the army that's trying to take back trying to kill Blackfish.
The Freys.
Thank you. Would the Lannisters continue to be beholden to the Freys, or would they see would Jamie see this kind of weird opportunity of like, fuck the Freys, let's take back the North from the Boltons, let's clean our shit up, maybe get some goodwill back with the North by not just slaughtering some more Starks, and use the pretense of, well, she's really a Lannister because she married a Lannister, even though he's a traitor and blah, blah, blah. That could be a really interesting moment, especially if Jaime is out there, if he's been sent off by Tommen, go do shit for me. And Cersei has said, don't just go do shit, make your fucking mark. Show that you are the genius, awesome person that you are. That would blow a lot of minds. And I don't think that's really possible, but I'm curious to see what would happen. As you said, all these pieces come into place for people to meet up again. What could actually happen?
Yeah, and it'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting to see if being in those places lends to the execution of some things from the book, which I think will be very interesting. But we did want to talk about Tommen and Marjorie, and Marjorie is obviously still playing the game, and we definitely got confirmation of that with the flower note that she gave to her grandmother on the Lolo, and which was a brilliant subtle note, because obviously she's not getting much past Septa Ulena, obviously, or Unda, whatever.
Severe lady,
but a very simple, just Rose tells the Queen of Thorns everything she needs to know.
Yep. And it'll be interesting to see what Marjorie's, if she has an ultimate plan, or if she's winging it. I want to know what this plan is, because she obviously is still loyal to House Tyrell. So all the churchiness that she's put on is just as fake as whatever she's confessed to. I don't know. Unless it's not totally fake, unless she is, whether or not it's fake, if this is a calculated move, if this is an honest move, but it's also, understanding what exactly she's doing, that she's got ulterior motives. I do think she still wants to get her brother out of there, and that this is a chance for her to do that. And we do know that she thinks that her grandmother is truly in danger, that she is sending her grandmother away, or at least saying so, for her own spirit. But the High Sparrow basically painted a target on her back. I just wish your grandmother, and your grandmother's going to have to face the consequences. He basically called her out.
Right.
And so, Marjorie may have been forced to do a bunch of things all at once to make sure that she didn't lose this woman.
Right.
I do want to talk about one more super quick thing, which was a very small thing. Theon and Yara. First off, I love the fact that after the two of them escape with all these ships, I turned to Luke and I said, she's gonna go fucking steal Daenerys from Crazy Man. She's gonna show up there first with a bunch of boats. She's gonna be a female captain who holds the respect of her crew, which is going to impress Daenerys. She's gonna make a fucking deal, and we're gonna see this army on boats, and it's gonna be amazing. So I love the fact that got confirmed. Really all we saw were breasts and Theon finally getting the kick to the pants that he needed to be like, hey, stop moping and start acting like you are the person that you used to be, which I think he needed. I think he needed that. I think he's come a long way from trying to distance himself from the horrors of what he's done and what he's been through, and Reek and that whole thing. I think he needed someone like his sister to smack him metaphorically upside the head and be like, you need to at least act like you're getting over it. So I was very happy to see that.
Yeah, and again, the moving of pieces to places that they were at the book. Instead of Victarion Greyjoy going out to Meereen, we now have Yara. It'll be interesting to see if anything that happened to Victarion also happens to either Yara or Theon, in that they run into their own Red Priest. One of them gets a fire hand or firearm or whatever. I don't necessarily think we need that, even if we are kind of mirroring what happened to Victarion in the books. But it'll be interesting. It's something to think about, because again, now we have an Ironborn fleet heading to Marine,
and we have Marine with an empty harbor ready to receive them.
Yes, lots of stuff.
So much.
So much
many
stuff.
awesome women.
I'm gonna fuck the tits off this one.
That was so awesome. I always get a little giddy at the beginning of the episode when it says nudity. And I do kind of hope for equal opportunity nudity, but I do understand that usually means breasts.
Yeah, I mean, I am also one for equality. I mean, if we see a dong every once in a while, hey, we see a dong. That's fine.
I did
means
kind
more
of feel bad for
opportunities to see other stuff.
I did super feel bad for Theon. As soon as they showed where he was, I was just like, really? He even came into this place? That's got to be super fucking awkward.
Yeah.
Aw. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun. We've got 3 more episodes before the end of the season, which I think means, unless they delay it, the last episode of the season comes out over 4th of July weekend. Is that true?
If it is, I would expect that at the Rooster Speak dinner, someone might have a laptop, someone might have a HBO Go login, and some people may be going to a corner of the restaurant to do that.
I think lots of people. However, I am wrong. It's the 12th, the 19th, and the 26th. So the last episode is before RTX. So we won't have to worry about doing that.
I am going to still be in Austin, but again, I have plenty of places. I might have to crash one of these famous Game of Thrones parties that I keep hearing about.
Ooh, very interesting. But with that, I'm going to go because I need food and I need to turn my air conditioning back on.
And again, if you have stuck with us through the spoilers, thank you so much. Again, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Me at Road_Block, her at Obo Crazy, he not appearing in this podcast, at Jack Edithel, all of us at Glib Shark, all of us at also Dungeon Drunks and YouTube and Twitter and everywhere else. We try to spread a wide net, and also twitch.tv/GlibShark. Catch us there. And again, thank you so much for listening to us. We will see you next week. Bye.